Good afternoon, everyone. So, Agnes, everything is okay? We are live now? Okay, all right. So, good afternoon, everyone. Very warm welcome to our today's live podcast. This is our first podcast, so there could be some technical glitches during the process, but we are learning and be patient with us, and we hope that everything will be fine and will go fine. So we thought sometime before that there are a lot of podcasts. There are, a lot of podcasts about news, about current affairs, about entertainment, lot of things. But one thing was missing, that there was nothing about uh, we thought that there is nothing about professionals, about industry, about our sector of work, our field of work. So we started this new initiative that we should go with something that could cater the industrial sectors, our professionals, health and safety specialists, quality specialists, our business community, our other industries, service sector, and trading companies, all kind of companies. So this is a new initiative that we started now, and in this initiative, we will continue to have a lot of podcasts, a lot of streams in coming future, time to time, and in these streams we will cater only about discussion about industries, about standards, about our field of work. We will be having some interviews also about quality professionals, health and safety professionals, business professionals. So this is all about professionalism, about industry, about professionals. We will try to avoid anything about entertainment or any news thing or something. Specifically, this podcast and this channel will be for the industries and professionals. So, going further, let me go back and introduce you towards our company, what it's doing. So I'm senior consultant with QDOT for last 5 6 years now, and we are working with the industries, with different sectors to develop their management systems regarding quality, regarding health and safety, regarding environment, regarding food safety, halal certifications, and then business continuity, energy management, road safety systems. So there are a lot of standards of ISO that we are working on to provide consultancy services for those. So Q dot is specialized in there are three four sectors. First sector is we provide consultancy services towards different industrial sectors, manufacturing sectors, trading sectors. We will talk in later on in during our podcast, and we will show you different slides also. And the second sector is trainings. We provide not public trainings, but only trainings to our clients who we are providing consultancy services in different ISO standards. And then our third area of expertise is for product registration. We are working with for product registration in UAE, in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar, I mean, in all GCC and some African countries also there. So if something going on, some company want to export any product to any GCC country, so for that the GCC country, there are requirements that that product had to be registered with them. So we are providing that service, that we help our clients to register their products to export in that country. So this is our third area of expertise. And then the final area, that if you are out of your quality manager, you don't have your quality manager, he resigned, or you don't want to have extra burden of having a quality assurance team or a quality assurance manager or environmental specialist or food safety specialist. So we are providing our services, which is called Q dot empanelment, or in other words you can say ISO maintenance of standards. So that service also we provide, that provide to different companies. So in that case, one of our consultants from our company that you know attached with that company to provide these kind of services, and we take our clients to go through from We provide them consultancy services. We prepare them for the external audits. We prepare them for their customer audits or supplier audits, and get them through preparation and participation in audits, and then closing of their findings if they have any findings during their external audits. So this is a brief about Q dot. Further details, you can visit our website q.a. It's www.qdot.a, and you can have further details about our services there on our website. We have in our website information about live our webinars, our podcasts, and different blogs are there, different vlogs are there on different articles. Even we have a section which is called Knowledge Hub. We are uploading time to time different presentations, different materials which could be you are you could be interested to those materials. So you can visit our website and you can have that data, that presentations or knowledge material you can download with you, and you can use it later on. This live podcast will also be available after finishing the live session. Then you will have this recorded video of this session available on our website or our other social media channels like YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. You can go there and you can subscribe to our channels also there for information about other live sessions which we will have in future, time to time. So this is about Q dot. Let's move on to our uh, further information about Q dot. We have our head office in Dubai, and right now we have our office in Qatar also, which is operational with ground staff is available there to cater our customers in Qatar. Similarly, we have another office in Pakistan. We have our ground office there in Pakistan also, and in other countries like Saudi Arabia, Oman, and Bahrain and Kuwait, in other GCC countries, we also working there with support of our partners there. Not we don't have any office there yet, but we have our partners there. So we are actively working in, especially in Saudi Arabia. We have a lot of projects there, and some projects going on, and some time to time we have work from there, and we have our vision that by 27 we will have we need to have our offices in all GCC countries, including Saudi Arabia, Oman, Bahrain, and Kuwait. So right now we are in Dubai, we are in Qatar, and we are in Pakistan. And in future, we will be extending our operations to Saudi Arabia, to Oman, to Bahrain, and Kuwait. So this is a little bit introduction about Q dot, our offices and our services, and let's move on to our today's topic, which is industrial sectors and applicable ISO standards. Many of the time, when we provide consultancy services to our clients, we are facing these kind of questions that this is our industry and we don't know which ISO standards are applicable on our industry. So this podcast is specifically to cater this purpose, and we will try to enlighten you about all the applicable standards to different industrial sectors, and we'll talk about that in detail and which standards are required for your sector and which standards are not required. So we will talk in detail about that thing. So if we talk about ISO standards, uh, what are the basic ISO standards, and then what are the sector specific ISO standards? So in today's podcast, we will be talking about ISO 9001, which is quality management system. In fact, this is a foundation standard. This is a fundamental standard. It's also called mother of all standards, and it's for every company, every organization. So whether it's a trading company, it's a manufacturing company, it's an aviation company, automobile company, oil and gas company. So whatever company is, whatever the size of the company is, this standard is equally applicable to all those companies. So this is ISO 9001 2015 version, which is for quality management system. Right now, working is going on its draft. Expectedly in next year, early next year in 2025, we'll have a new standard for 2015 2025 version of ISO 9001, which will be capturing the climate change. So another some clauses are going to be added in the standard for climate change. So we are expecting that this new standard will come in 2025. So the next standard is ISO 14001, which is for environmental management system. Is if your organization is interacting with the environment positively or negatively, then this is the standard you need to, you know, to be friendly with the environment. So this is ISO 14001 2015 version for the environmental management system standard. The next standard is ISO 45001 2018 version. This is occupational health and safety standard. It was OSHAS 18001 back in 2007 when it was a British standard, and in 2018 ISO has adopted this standard with the number ISO 45001. Now it's ISO 45001 2018. Although the basic concept of OSHAS 18001 and ISO 45001 is similar, it's same, but it's ISO 45001 is on the same pattern as other ISO standards like 9001 and 14001. So it follows the similar structure. It's called high level structure. So same clauses, same numbers, so same structure. So this instead of OSHA 18001, which have a different structure, we have ISO 45001, which also have the same structure as ISO 9001. So moving on, we'll have another standard which is ISO 22000. ISO 22000 is a food safety standard. Actually, it's a quality management system standard for food companies. So basics, it's a combination of HACCP and ISO 9001. Yes, if we combine these two standards, 9001 and food quality and food hygiene, it becomes ISO 22000. So we will talk in later in detail about this standard also in the when we talk about food sector in the industries. Then HACCP is a guideline, food hygiene guideline, which is way back from 70s. It's very popular in the industry now. It is slowly is going to be replaced by ISO 22000, but still people are very familiar about HACCP guidance, HACCP guideline. This is a guideline standard. It's not a ISO standard, but still it's very famous. And in UAE, we follow for HACCP. We have a supplementary guideline which is CAC RCP 1 1969 that we follow for the HACCP, because HACCP there is no one common standard. Different countries have their own HACCP guidelines because this is not a one standard by ISO. So different countries, different CBs even have their different guidelines and different protocols for food hygiene. Then we have halal. If you are people who are living in mixed communities in European countries, or if you want to export your products in some country where mixed nationalities are there, mixed religious persons are there, so their halal is a big question mark for the non-Muslim community and Muslim community. So to give them confidence that any food which is any given food is a status is halal or non-halal. So there, in that case, for company who is exporting to those countries, halal status of products is very important for them. So this is a halal certification. Halal management system certification is very important for the companies who are exporting to other countries, especially mixed community countries. So this is halal standard. Even halal standard also is, there's no one common standard for halal. There is different standards in different countries. There are different requirements also in halal. So if you say that Malaysia has a different halal standard, some of the requirements are different in halal standard by Malaysia. Then UE has different halal standard. GCC also has a requirement, a guideline for halal. Similarly, Pakistan have their own halal standard. So minute, there are small changes in the requirements. Some based on their religious beliefs and sects. So some things are you know it changed from standard to standard. Then there is ISO 22716, which is standard for good manufacturing practices. This is usually it's a prerequisite when we talk about food companies, when we talk about implementation of HACCP and ISO 22000 for food safety. In that case, GMP becomes ISO 22716, or GMP guidelines becomes a prerequisite in that case. But otherwise, if we talk about perfumes and cosmetic companies, ISO 22716 for GMP is a certification that they need to go for it. We will talk in detail in the preceding slides. So ISO 22716 is standard for GMP. Then there is a standard ISO 50001. Is for energy management. If your company's consumption of energy is too much, you are a significant user of energy. So then, normally it's in the manufacturing sector. Manufacturing companies whose energy consumption is significant, they are normally opting to go for ISO 50001. In some of the countries, it's a legal requirement also from the authorities, from the bodies who are regulating this energy sector. So in that countries, energy management system is a requirement for those manufacturing sectors who are significant users of energy. And then we need to move on to ISO 22301. ISO 22301 is a standard for business continuity management system standard. So this is ISO standard, very popular because in case of any disaster or any outside activity which is not under your control, and your system, your organization's working becomes halted. In that case, how to manage your company, how to organize your company so that you can recover your work, you can come back to your working phase as early as possible. You can recover yourself within time. So for that, ISO 22301 is a standard which is for business continuity. UE has uh, adopted a local standard also, which is called NCEMA. NCIEMA, if I'm not wrong. So NCEMA 7000, which is a local standard, which is an adaptation of ISO 22301. It's a national standard. Still, it's not a regulatory requirement, but it's a regulatory requirement for some certain sectors, but not for all. So it's maybe in coming future it will be more. There will be more emphasis on NCEMA 7000, so which is a replacement of ISO 22301. So this is a little bit introduction of all the mainstream ISO standards which we will be talking about today. So let's move on to the next slide now, which is um, social compliance. Social compliance is also a big area now these days, especially if your company is exporting to European countries. So in Europe, if your customers are there in Europe, their prerequisite, their requirement, pre-qualification requirement, that your company who's exporting to them, you should be compliant to social requirements, standards. Social standards means it's called sustainability also comes in. And it has two pillars and four pillars, different schemes. And then there are different certification platforms. One is SEDEX, which is an international platform for social compliance. And then there is another platform which is EcoVadis. Then M3 BSI is there. And then SA 8000 is there. Then there are some other certification standards also for social compliance. In hotel industry, there is GSTC, which is specifically for the hotel industry, hotel and tourism industry. So there are different social compliance standards which are getting popular right now. And in last 2 years, 2 years back, we had started our services for social compliance standards, and now Qdot has more than 20 plus standards companies who are certified for SADEX in social compliance. One or two companies in EcoVadis, and a lot of some companies already they made these social compliance certifications as mandatory. Like for example, Hilton, which is a five-star hotel in chain of hotels in UAE, they had made all the suppliers to go for social compliance certifications, especially SADC certifications. Similarly, Amazon had already declared that all their supply chain, all their suppliers should be certified for social compliance standards. And similarly, Carrefour is also ready. They also had made it mandatory right now. So in coming days, in coming years, maybe in 2025, there will be more requirements of social compliance certifications like EcoVadis or SEDEX. So that will be in demand, too much demand in 2025. So let's move on to the next slide. Now we'll talk about industrial sectors. So we will, talk a little bit what are the industrial sectors available right now. So the main industrial sectors are, first of all, we will say that it's a manufacturing sector. Manufacturing sector, we will talk in detail in the preceding slides. Manufacturing, there's two type of manufacturing companies: food manufacturing companies and non-food manufacturing companies. This is a big sector in not only in UAE, every country is manufacturing sector is a big sector. Similarly, there is in UAE, construction is a very big sector. A lot of industries are linked to construction sector, and then oil and gas. Oil and gas is a subsector of a main sector, which is petrochemical industries, petrochemical and oil and gas industries, and then oil and gas is a subsector of that. Similarly, there's a trading huge potential in UAE. A lot of trading activity is going on because UAE is a hub and provide a very good platform to the other companies to have their offices here in UAE and export to different destinations worldwide. So trading, a lot of trading companies, SMEs are there in UAE who are doing trading. And trading also, there are we had divided this trading in two sectors: trading of food items and trading of non-food items. And we will talk in detail about the next slides. Then there is transportation, then there is aviation, information technology, health, pharmaceutical. Lot of main sectors are there that we will talk in detail about them later on. So, how these sectors are made? This is a very prominent question, and it should come to our mind that how our economic activities are identified as sectors. So there is a guideline which is called NACE codes. Actually, this NACE code is a guideline from European Union. They had defined all these sectors in form of NACE codes. And we have in NACE code we have sectors, and then we have sections, and then we have IF codes, and then NACE codes, and then further subsection of NACE codes. So can you please show the NACE codes document on the screen, Agdas? Can you please show it? So this NACE code document is also there, and if you see this NACE code document, you can see it that every sector is divided in IF codes, and then NACE codes, and then further subsection of NACE codes. I will put this document link in our channels description section, and you can download from there NACE codes. You can go to Google also, and you can search it from there. NACE code revision 2 is there, and this is a very huge document, around 100 pages. So in that NACE code, actually all the economic activities of different sectors are categorized in different sections and then subsections. So this is the document which is used by uh, uh, ISO certification bodies also to define their mandates and to check that whether they are this activity of your company is falling in their scope or not. So knowing which sector, which NACE code is which NACE code is applicable to your company is very important. So sometimes companies have one NACE code, and sometimes they may have multiple NACE codes. Like for example, if there are like 4 or 5 activities in your trade license, so might be those 4 or 5 activities are falling in different NACE codes. So you can check which NACE codes are there, and when you're getting ISO certificate also from the certification body, finally, then it's mentioned there your scope statement of your license certificate, ISO certificate. It has the scope statement and the information about which are the applicable NACE codes. That information is also there on your ISO certificate. So for further details, you can visit our YouTube channels and description of this podcast, and you can find the link of this NACE code there. Or you can go to Google also. We will place this NACE code link on our website also in the Knowledge Hub category. You can go there and you can download from there. So this NACE code will be available there, and you can have it and further review it and for your knowledge. Okay, let's move on to the next slide, which is for food sector. So, food sector, you know, for HACCP and ISO 22000, the authority, which is EAC, Emirates International Accreditation Center, they authorize different certification bodies to do the audit of food companies. So, so they have their own classification of food sectors. So for ISO standards, if we say ISO 9001, ISO 14001, or 45001, or any other standards, classification will be taken from NACE codes. But in case of food sector, food certifications, this classification will come from the EAC guidelines, and they classify food sectors in different subsectors. So it's called food manufacturing is one area, which is classification is C. And then it has animal feed also. Animal feed is classification D. This guideline of food companies classification also, you can visit EAC website, and you can find this classification from there. And we'll also provide this classification in the downside of description of our podcast, and we will make it available on our website also. Later on, you can download it from our knowledge hub section, and we'll place it there. So, food manufacturing, which falls in C category, and then animal feed, which falls in D category. Then there is catering companies, catering and restaurants, they fall in E category. So, and then distribution, it's F, transport and storage, food packaging and production, equipment manufacturing, chemical production, biochemicals production, in fact, and then farming. So these are different classifications starting from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. So these are the from A to I. These are the classification of food companies, which are defined by Emirates International Accreditation Center in their guidelines, and we have to follow if we talk about food safety certifications and food safety systems development. So very important here is C, which is for manufacturing, manufacturing of all kind of food products, and then there is E, which is catering and restaurant. This is also very important. Then distribution, which is F, and transport and storage, which is G, and then further food packaging and other companies in food sector, food supply chain. So this is the classification of food sector. Okay, let's move on to the next slides. Manufacturing. If we talk about a manufacturing sector and manufacturing of food products, then what will be the applicable ISO standards, ISO and other standards? What standard will be applicable in your company? If you belong to a company who is manufacturing food products, then this will be the major question which is asked to us during our consultancy operations to different companies. So they're always feeling confused which are the applicable standards. So if you are a manufacturing company who is producing food products, dairy products, mineral water, anything related to food supply chain, if you are falling in food sector of manufacturing, then first of all, it will be ISO 22000, which is as I earlier explained, it's a quality system for food companies, and it's a combination of 911 and HACCP. Previously, before 2018, actually this standard came in 2005, and then its first revision came in 2018. Before 2005, companies have a quality system, their certification for ISO 971 2015, and then to make it in a combination with food supply chain, they are mixing up with the HACCP certification. So 971 plus HACCP. So this was the combination for quality and food hygiene. So but in 2005, and then revision comes in 2018. So we have now ISO 22000 2018 version for this requirement, to comply with this requirement. So it means that if you have ISO 22000, then no need to go for ISO 911 and HACCP, because 911 and HACCP is inbuilt available in ISO 22000. So many of the times companies who have ISO 22000, they want to go with HACCP also, they want to go with 911 also, and we always advise them, if you have ISO 22000, then no need to go with ISO 911 and HACCP standard, because it's equivalent to those two standards. So if you're a food company, then either you need to go with ISO 22000, or you need to go with 911 or HACCP. So basically, the system will be same. If you have 22,000, same system will be applicable to 911 and HACCP. So for food hygiene. And if you're a manufacturing company in food sector, then again, if your activities are interacting with the environment, if you are releasing something to air, if you are releasing something to water as effluent waste, or you are producing solid waste, then or in or your consumption is too much for natural resources, then your company need to go with ISO 14001, which is a standard for environmental management system. Similarly, occupational health and safety system, if your staff is if your manufacturing company or your staff, you feel that there are a lot of hazards in the company, and your staff is at risk of injuries or health issues, then you need to go with the occupational health and safety standard for ISO 45001 2015. But if it's a small company, like you don't have any significant activities by which you are interacting with the environment, or you don't have a lot of manpower, and there are not there are not so many risks, hazards are there for health and safety, so no need to go with HACCP, no need to go with ISO 14001 for environment, or health and safety standard for ISO 45001. So these are not required for you. Similarly, if you are a food company, food manufacturing company, and you have ISO 22000 or 9001 and HACCP, and then you want to go with the some advanced level of standards, then the next option will be BRC, which is a British standard, British Retail Consortium. So BRC GS, BRC global standard, BRC GS, this is a global standard for BRC. So top of the companies, top food companies who have their food safety systems are matured enough now, and they have some time back they had applied 22,000 or quality system or HACCP in their companies, and they want to go with the next level of food safety, then they can go with the BRC. Similarly, if there is a standard FSSC 22000, which is a food safety standard by Global Initiative, Food Safety Global Initiative. So this standard is more popular in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, and India, where they are exporting a lot of products to other countries, especially European countries, and it's a requirement for them basically. In UAE, FSSC 22000 is not very popular. Companies in food supply chain, they normally go for ISO 22000 or 9001 or HACCP. So FSSC 22000, very few companies they are going for it. So these are the standards regarding ISO and quality and food safety, environment and health and safety. Then of course there is a halal. If you think that you want to cater the you know community, religious community of Muslim and non-Muslims, and you want to the Muslims who are living in the non-Muslim countries, and you want to export there, or for the branding purpose, or you want to make sure that customers they can see your product and they can see the logo of halal on your product, and they feel confident that the food which I'm taking right now, it's halal. It don't have non-halal particles in it, and the supply chain or processes made sure that no non-halal hazards are there, then you need to go with halal certification also. So in a nutshell, if you summarize that, if you're a company in food manufacturing, then it will be ISO 22000 2018 version, or in replacement to that, there will be ISO 9001 for quality system, and in a combination with HACCP, which is standard for food hygiene. So 9001 plus HACCP or ISO 22000. And then if your company have some interaction with the environment, then 14001. If you have a lot of manpower, significant manpower, and there are hazards on your line, then you need to go with occupational health and safety standard, which is ISO 45001. And another level of food, BRC, FSSC 22000. If your company is in Bangladesh, India, or Pakistan, then you might be interested in that. In UAE also, you can go with it. If your customers who are sitting in Europe and America, they want you to be certified for FSSC 22000, then again you can go with that. So this is the some brief details about the companies who are falling in food supply chain, so their applicable standards in food supply chain. So moving on to the next slide, next area, which is manufacturing. So before we talked about manufacturing sector in food companies, in food supply chain. Now we are talking about if you are falling in a manufacturing sector. There are a lot of manufacturing sectors as per NACE codes. So the major manufacturing sectors are like textile sector, if you are producing textile products. then leather products manufacturing, then there is a wood products manufacturing, paper and you know, paper and other products, then petroleum products, which comes in oil and gas, also chemicals, perfume and cosmetics, they fall in chemicals category. Then pharmaceutical is a big sector, um, and then rubber and plastic, and then metallic and non-metallic. These are some of the manufacturing sectors as per the NACE codes. So we will talk about the next slide, which are the applicable standards for these sectors. So, if you are a manufacturing company which is producing any of these products in the sectors which we earlier talked, so the first standard which will be applicable to your company is ISO 9001, which is standard for quality. This standard is generically applicable to every company, any size of the company, any sector. So it's applicable to all the companies, so across the board. So this is the basic standard which is applicable to all the companies. So ISO 9001, you must go with it. In addition to that, if your company is interacting with the environment, then you need to go with 14001. If your company is interacting with the your guys, your staff's health and safety, there are hazards are there on your line, health and safety risks are there, injuries are there, so some previous history is there, then your company need to go with ISO 45001, which is a standard for occupational health and safety. Then these are the, 9th and 1 normally people are going that, companies are going for that, and then 14 and 45. And if you are concerned about, you want to show the social corporate responsibility, and your customers are asking you to go for social compliance standards, then there is SADC certification, and then there is another platform for social compliance, which is EcoVadis. There are some other platforms also like M3 BSI or SE 8000, ISO 26000 is also there. So depending upon your customers' requirements. So these are standards for social compliance. They have their own portals. SADC has their own portal. Similarly, EcoVadis has their own portal. So depending upon on your requirement, social compliance, whatever your customer asks you, you can go with the SADC or EcoVadis or any of the other platforms. M3 BSI, S8000, ISO 26000, they are very popular in Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh, these subcontinent countries, and in UAE especially. So SADC is getting popular now, and we have a lot of work on SADC, and a lot of companies, as I earlier explained that all the five-star hotels and airlines, manufacturing, big supply chain companies like Carrefour, Amazon, known, they are going for, they are making sure that all suppliers are compliant to social compliance requirements. So that will be a possibility that that standards will also be applicable on you if you comes in manufacturing sector. Next slide, construction, a very big sector in UAE, and in fact, in all the countries, this is a very important sector, and of course, ISO 9001 is applicable there. 14001, always there is a lot of interaction with the environment, especially negative environment. A lot of noise is there, a lot of dust is there, a lot of effluent waste are going on in the water, in the sea life, and then sea life is getting disturbed for that, and solid waste generation is also a big issue there, and natural resources consumption is also there. So in that case, of course, environment ISO 14001 is applicable standard there in the construction sector. Similarly, ISO 45001, very very important, and because in construction sector, your staff who is working in the construction industry, they're always exposed to different kind of hazards, and risks, injuries, and health issues are there in construction, and this is very important. So they must have to go with ISO 45001 also, which is standard for health and safety. So if you're a construction company, then all these three standards will be applicable: 9001, 14001, and 45001. All three will be applicable to you. Okay, moving on to the next area, which is oil and gas. Again, oil and gas, 9th-1 is mandatory, 14th-1 is mandatory, 45th-1 is mandatory. Once the companies, they have these basic ISO standards, then if they want to go with further specific standard, then that specific standard is ISO 29001, which is quality management system standard for petrochemical and oil and gas industries. So that is specific standard, specific implementation of quality in petrochemical and oil and gas. So if you have basic standards 971, 14, and 45, and then you want to further polish, you want to further improve your system, then you can go with the specific standard for ISO 29001. Okay, so this is about oil and gas. Moving on to the next sectors, trading. Then again, we have classification of trading in two sectors, two subsectors for the understanding purpose. One is general trading, and one is general trading of food items. So first we'll talk about the general trading. So as we explained earlier, ISO 971 will be applicable to general trading. Uh, Sometimes our clients, they always ask us that whether they want to go whether they can go for ISO 14001 and 45001. Basically, trading companies, when you are a trading company, you are importing some products, you are stacking it in your warehouse, and then you are dispatching it to your consumers without opening it. So then it's a trading, and in that case you are normally not interacting with the environment. So if you are just a trading company, then it means that ISO 14001 is quite unnecessary. No need to go with that. So, and if you you are going for ISO 14001 certification or ISO 45001, same case, that in trading you have very few employees, and you are just importing the products, stacking it there, and then just dispatching it to your customers. And not a lot of hazards or risks are there. So in that case, 14,001 and 45,001 are quite unnecessary. No need to go with these standards. And if you are going with these standards, so that your customers, they might feel that you are over ambitious and you are just taking the standards just for the branding purpose, and actually you don't need these standards. So, in my opinion, if it's a trading company, then just go for 911. If there are, some activities which are interacting with the environment, or you feel that you have hazards, then you can go with ISO 45001. Otherwise, no need for it. Similarly, if it's a food company, then as we earlier explained, if it's a general trading company of food products, it means food products you are importing, you are putting it in your warehouse, stacking it, and then without opening the product, you are dispatching it to your customers or distributors. So in that case, you can go with ISO 911 or HACCP. Preferably, you should go with ISO 22000, which is a one standard solution for all the food companies. No need to go with 911 or HACCP. Instead, you can go with only one standard, which is ISO 22000. 911 and HACCP is available there in 22000. HACCP is inbuilt part of ISO 22000. So even then, some clients, they are already 22000 certified, and they are asking for HACCP certification also, 911 certification also. They're paying some money to certification bodies, and actually behind system of food is same. The food companies management system is same. They're just going for number of certificates to show that they're having more certifications. And actually, if your customers didn't know about these things, then it looks odd that you don't need some standard and you are going for those standards. And similarly, if you're a trading company of food items, you feel that you have some interaction with environment, or you have some hazards and risks or health issues, it can be for your employees, then you can go with ISO 45001, 14 or 45001. So these are optional standards. So if you feel that there is a need for these two standards, then you need to go with it. Otherwise, there's no need. You can simply go with ISO 22000. No need of 911 and HACCP also, and no need of 14 and 45 if you are not so many hazards are there, or your company is not interacting with environment. So mainly is ISO 22000. So if you go with the 911 or HACCP, no problem. You can go, you can pay some money, and you can have these certificates. But it looks to me, my opinion is no need to go with these other standards if it's not really needed by your company. Okay, the next sector is agricultural activities. If your agriculture is, you know, two type of two subsections are there in agriculture. Actually, it's agriculture and farming as per NACE codes. NACE code for agriculture and farming section is same. So if it's agriculture, uh, either it's animal farming or crops manufacturing. In both cases, 911 ISO 911 as a quality system to run the company, to run the organization is mandatory requirement, is a more popular standard. And then for other standard, you can go with the, if you're manufacturing the crops, then there is a certification which is called organic certification. Organic means in the supply chain, during production of crops, in that supply chain, artificial synthesizers or artificial means are not used, and your products are organic. Actually, there's a very big market for organic, and people are very conscious now the status of their foods, because while production of these crops, wheat and other vegetables and other crops, then we are using a lot of pesticides and a lot of fertilizers. So that is actually not good for the health of the human consumption. So that's why uh, organic status of the product is very important. If some product which is a price of 10 units normal food, and then its organic alternative is like more than 50% of the cost of the initial, without organic, and sometimes 100% also cost is high. So organic status of products is very important, and it's getting very popular. So organic also, if you want to export in UAE, there's a standard for organic by UAE standards authority. There is a different standard for organic, and if you want to go with Europe, there is a different standard for organic, very detailed. Lot of requirements are there. It's a high cost also. And similarly, if you want to export your products to organic products to America, United Nations, United States, then there is a again there are different standard for organic, and very very strict and very high cost also. So organic, but again, if you want to attain the status of organic food, then organic certifications is a big boost to your sales. You can have a very good important edge on your competitors, and it will help you a lot in the sales of your products, and you can grab a very good market sector. Okay, then there is perfumes and cosmetic companies, UE and GCC. There are a lot of this sector is too much. There are a lot of small to medium and large scale manufacturing and cosmetic companies, and for them, if you are a part of perfumes and cosmetics companies, and you want to go with ISO certification, and you want to know which will be the applicable standards on your company, then it's predominantly it's ISO 971, which is common for all the companies. And then you can go with GMP, ISO 22716, which is a good manufacturing practices standard guideline. So that will be applicable on perfumes and cosmetic companies. So 971 ISO 22716, which is for GMP. And then again 14001 and 45001, it's optional if you see that your company is interacting with the environment, or you have some risks for health and safety risks or injury risks for your staff, for your employees, then you can go with ISO 45001 also. So if it's a perfume company, perfume or cosmetic company, then it's a 971 and ISO 22716, which is for GMP. This is a very good combination. And if it's your company is a medium or large scale company, then you can go with 14001 also and 45001 also. Okay, moving to the next sector, packaging. So again, we had divided this packaging sector in two subsectors: packaging, general packaging, and then packaging of food items. So if it's a packaging in general, you are making some packaging products for general items, then it's you need to go with ISO 971 general standard. And then if you think you can go with ISO 14001 and 45001 also for environment and health and safety. But if it's a food company and food packaging, your company involves in food packaging, then you need to go with ISO 22000. You can go with ISO 9001. You can go with HACCP, or as an alternate, you can go with ISO 22000, and you can go with halal certification. Sorry, you can go with halal certification also. And similarly, if you think that you are a medium or large size company and you are in need of environment or health and safety standard, then you can go with ISO 14001 and 45001 also. So these are the standards for a company who is producing packaging products for food and general items. And the next is services sector. Services is like it's intangible products, intangible services you are providing, and you're not having a physical product for your company, like IT companies, administration companies, management system consultancy companies, inspection bodies, laboratories. So all the service sector where they are providing services instead of any physical product. Their product is intangible. In that case, you can go with ISO 9001 standard for quality. And then if you want to go further in depth, then you need to go with sector specific standard. Like for example, for management system consultancy companies, there is a specific ISO standard guideline which is 20700. So if you're a consultancy company, how to run that management system consultancy company, then you can go with this detailed guideline, ISO 20700. And similarly, if it's a IT company, you can go with the ISO 20000. If it's a, company in aviation and defense sector, so in that case, you can go with the AS 9100 aerospace standard. Similarly, if it's a facility management company, you can go with ISO 41001. We will talk in detail about in the later slides, sector by sector. Uh, we have a quick glimpse on that. Okay, next is information technology. If your company is IT company, and then what standards will be applicable to your company? So either it's 911, which is a basic standard for any company, and then ISO 20000, which is management system, quality management system for IT companies. So these two options are there: 911 or ISO 20000. These will be applicable for the information technology company. Okay, now we will talk about some specific applications. We talked about general standards, general industries. Now, what if some odd standards are there, offbeat standards are there, so some specific applications. We'll talk about that. So the next is ISO 50001. Earlier I explained a little bit. Now we will talk about further about ISO 50001, which is a standard for energy management. So if your company in manufacturing sector, or your utility bills are too much and your consumption of energy is too much, you are using a lot of electricity, you are using a lot of gas, you're using a lot of water. So in that case, energy consumption is too much, and then you need to, I mean, you cannot eliminate the use of energy, but you can manage the use of energy. So to manage the use of energy, we have a standard, specific standard for that, which is ISO 50001. From the platform of QDOT, we had two big projects on energy management. One we did in 2022 in Saudi, which is Tasni Petrochemical Complex. It's a very big company, top 10 companies in Saudi. We had prepared them for ISO 50001, and we get them certified. And there is a requirement also. There is an authority also in Saudi which is supervising all the major big consumers of energy. That authorities is SEEK. SEEK is the authority in Saudi. And similarly, we had done one project in UAE also, which is Gulf Steel Manufacturing Company in Abu Dhabi. So they're using a lot of furnaces, and those furnaces are using electricity, and their bill is huge in millions dirhams every month. So uh, they had to manage their energy properly, and wherever some chance is there, they can go for saving of energy. So for that company, we prepared their system for energy management and get them certified for from ISO certification body. So these two projects, big projects, we done for ISO 50001. Not very popular, but this is only required when your company is high consumer of energy. So in that case, you need to go with ISO 50001 standard for energy management. Okay, next is ISO 41001. If your company is managing some accommodation, some towers, some buildings, some facilities, so management of those facilities, for that the standard ISO standard is ISO 41001. So which is for management of facilities. Facilities could be towers, residential units, different labor accommodations. So, if your facility is big and you have to manage it, then the specific standard which will be applicable in that case is ISO 41001. Okay, so this is the specific standard for facility management. Okay, then ISO 37001, which is a standard for anti bribery. If your company, any company, is not like is not dependent on like which sector you are. If your company is sensitive to bribery activities and you are very sensitive to anti bribery things, then you need to go with this standard, which is ISO 37001 standard for anti bribery. So there will be guidelines, requirements given in, like which which can make sure that your staff and your suppliers and customers, they will not be indulged in some activities which could risk the uh, you know the, the impartiality and confidentiality things of your company. So bribery activities can be avoided. So in that case, this standard is applicable, which is ISO 37001. Okay, moving on to the next standard, which is ISO 27001, information security management. Very, very important in this area, in this age, because a lot of thefts, lot of damages these days are happening because of online leakages. um, Banks, other companies which are very sensitive to about to their data leakage. For them, information security management is very important, and they had to go with this ISO 27001. It's a very it's a we can see that huge potential is there in the coming years, because information security is getting sensitive day by day. Every passing day, information security is getting very, very important. So its main standard is very similar to ISO 9001, but there is a annexure at the end of the standard, ISO 27001, where is a lot of protocols are there, how to avoid the leakage of your information towards the hackers and towards the interested parties who want to know your information. So that annexure with the application of different protocols, that is the main key thing. Otherwise, the remaining standard is same. It's very similar to ISO 9001, and you can easily integrate this standard with ISO's other standards, because clause structure and other things are same. Only annexure is different, but that annexure is very long and a lot of protocols are there to follow. And if your IT company has the expertise, then they can apply all those protocols. Even certification is not important. If you want to go with compliance only, you can take the standard and you can apply all the protocols which are given in ISO 27001. And certification, it will be a next step. If you can show, if you want to show to the other world that you are a company who is very sensitive to leakage of their data, then you can go with a third party certification body, and you can get your system validated from third party. Otherwise, you can go simply compliance also. You can take the standard and you can apply that standard in your company, and you can manage your risk of information leakage. Then the next standard is ISO 22301, which is for business continuity standard. Recently, 1 year before, I think UAE companies, they were not thinking too much about ISO 22301. That there could be some disaster. Of course, we are, uh, you know, on we are exposed to the ocean. So we are a lot of cities are coastal areas of sea. So there is some disaster, sea disaster is possibility of sea disaster is always there. But we have because of climate change, a few months back we have too much rain in UAE. And actually the rain which is supposed to be in over the year, in one complete year, we had that rain in one single day, in duration of few hours. And a lot of flood situation was there. All the streets and roads are flooding with the rainwater. So and a lot of buildings, they have basements and there is no control, because this kind of situation we never faced here in UAE. So after that incident, now people are getting it very serious that they should have some standard for business continuity. Like for example, in case of any disaster or too much rain or any other thing, your business got interrupted and you want to go with the normal practices, normal working. And then ISO 22301 standard will help you to go as early as possible back to your normal practices, normal working things. So like for example, so it gives a lot of requirements where if some disaster is coming in and your main office, main working operational area is disturbed, then you have some, some other locations also where you can manage your operations. And there are rehearsals also. So in any case, because after applying this standard, the basic purpose is that the thing should be with a shock value to the organization. And if some accident or incident, this kind of incident or accident happens, then how we can recover from that accident. So this will give us some help to manage and to define our procedures in a way that in case of any disaster we can working operations. So help us. Okay, next standard is ISO 9001, which is a road safety uh, road system, road traffic safety management system actually. So this is ISO 13001. So this standard is normally for the company who are putting the roads network, and even supposed to do the safety audits, the enforcement, law enforcement agencies, and then the companies who are using road their transport and for traveling of their staff. So for them it's a road traffic safety system. So they are providing a lot of requirements where we can make sure that we should have some you know planned system where we can avoid the accidents and while we are on the road. So this is the standard for companies who are constructing the roads, or authorities who are road safety audits, and then law enforcement agencies and the normal public community who are users of the road. So for that, these standards, normally it will be for the first three categories, this standard will be applicable. So this is the brief of about industrial sectors and applicable ISO standards. This is our first podcast. So if somebody has missed our this live podcast, you can find this video also in our YouTube channel, our Facebook channel, or our LinkedIn channel. You can find these videos there, and link of this presentation will also be there, and we will put this NACE code link also there, so you can find these two things there. And even you can visit our website also, www.q.ae, and in the section knowledge a hub or podcasting section, you can find this presentation and NACE code, copy of the NACE code also there. So we will put these things there. And if you have any questions about today's podcast, if you still have some confusion about any particular standard or any particular industrial area, you are confused that you are and you don't know which standards for a sector, you can email on info@q.ae, or you can send us comments also in reply to this podcast on our YouTube channels. We will try to response. So thank you so much. stay tuned with us for the next stream. We will continue this series of streams on different interesting topics which are related to you as a professional, as a part of business community in UE, GCC, or wherever you are. So we will come up with the always some interesting ideas and interesting podcasts in future.